What more? Are you ready? Let us go right here. She's not raising her hand, but she has been.
Thank you. You have commented off and on about the interbeing relationship between the physical and the non-physical, and I've wondered. Sometimes you've alluded to, are there more than one interbeing per body, and is there more than one body per interbeing?
Yes to all of the above. It is helpful. You see, this is some of that stuff we were talking about the trying to describe in physical terms that which is non-physical. It's not easy for physical beings who look around and see clumps not to imagine that in the non-physical there are clumps. And let's name those clumps. Let's catalog and pigeonhole them like we do our clumps. It is a reason that we give you a name for association, but in reality, in the non-physical dimension, we are not using labels that you would call names or labels that you would call words. We are just transmitting and receiving to one another our knowing. It is vibrational again, you see. The knowing is just offered. So rather than thinking of, let us start again. The confusion that comes from most physical beings relative to this subject comes because you are accustomed to seeing yourselves as dead or alive. So you think in terms of being physical or non-physical. When the reality of it is, you are always non-physical energy, and sometimes you extend or express some of that non-physical energy into a physical awareness. Now, here and now, think about it. Here and now, you see this clump called Esther sitting here. And she has the normal dose of non-physical energy spewing through her. In other words, enough that the doctors pronounce her alive rather than dead. So Esther sits here receiving what you would think is Esther's soul, or Esther's life force, Esther's clump. But as Esther is sitting here, opening herself to non-physical energy, she becomes a vortex, allowing through her energy far beyond that which is Esther's clump. Your clump, your clump, your clump, clump. In other words, so much that all of you are wanting is now available to you. You don't need Esther for this, certainly. But in this experience. And so, how would anybody define what clump Esther is getting? We call it Abraham, whatever it is. Esther has said many times, how do I know what they are, who they are, where they are? How do I know what it is I'm getting? All I know is that I'm getting it. And her mate, in his wisdom, would say, who cares? As long as what is coming is of value to us. As long as we are able to apply what we are hearing in a way that is meaningful. But it was still unsettling to Esther. How do I know I am not receiving something inappropriate? And in time, Esther began to understand what we are wanting you all to understand. The only way you ever know whether it is appropriate or inappropriate unto you in the moment is by how it feels to you, you see. So, if you can see yourselves as physical extensions of non-physical, then you come to recognize that in reality, we are all one. But the advantage of many perspectives is that it is not so boring. In the early days, we said to Jerry and Esther, you are physical counterparts of the same non-physical energy. Oh, Esther really liked that. It is a romantic term, soulmate. Twin flame, you see. That explains why I feel about him the way I do, she said. And then as she thought more about it, she began to muse, if we have come forth from the same non-physical energy, why do we not be identical? I want my cat, he wants his birds. That came much later, but you get the sense of what we were talking about. We were born in different times. We were born in different environments. We were born into different philosophies. We were born into different economic circumstances. If we are same non-physical energy, why are we physically so different? And we said, if from your non-physical awareness you wanted only one perspective, only one of you would have come forth. But there is so much value in the balance, in the contrast. So now you begin to understand the perfection of that which exists upon your planet. You acknowledge it more easily as you watch your beasts. You acknowledge the perfection of the balance of your beasts. Many rabbits come forth when there are many lions to feed, and so on. In other words, your scientists are beginning to get a sense of the balance. Oh, man messes it up with all of his trying to control to some extent, but you can never really mess it up. It turns out you can only vibrate lackfully enough to mess up your own circumstances. Is this helpful?